Ball out. Ball out.
Bow, bow. Bow, bow.
Ball out.
Bow,
Ball out.
bow. All we do is bow.
Ball out.
Bow, bow, bow.
Ball out. Ball out.
Ball out.
Me and my hitters go all out. Ball out. Ball out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Me and my hitters go all out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Ball out. Ball out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Me and my hitters go all out. We about to take them all out. Dropping by the mall out. Come deliver mail on y'all route. Show them what it's all about. Just get called out. Fall out. Me and my clique, we don't fall out. Me and my chick, we don't fall out. We minding our business, keep y'all out. Break up, get up quick, then we hit licks till it's all out. I hate my job, I'ma call out. Boss of myself, child out. I'm a recruiter, a high percentage shooters. Gotta keep rifles and Rugers. Some people just trifling and losers. Watch for the jackets at night, they be cruising. I can put together. AR Kinston My hitters be tougher than leather. Can't nobody do it better. Glock 9 with the FN. Step in with my best friend. Best friend Smith and West End. If you miss 6, still catch 10. Ball out. Stall out. Pulling up outside of y'all house. Empty till we all out. I got the juice and I'm crazy. If you not a killer, don't say. Hit squad ain't nothing to play with. Undertaker and a grave dig. Best man like Tate Diggs. When you in the paint, gotta play big. Hitters ignorant like cavemen. Went from good fella to made men. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Shout out, ball out, get called out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Ball out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Me and my hitters go all out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Ball out. We about to take them all out. Ball out. Me and my hitters go all out. Me and my hitters go all out. We about to take them all out.
Boss Cowboy Sports, Thursday night, we in the mix. Boss Cowboy and the OC. Let's get this party started. Boss Cowboy Sports, where your voice matters. Like, share, subscribe. We got a lot to get into today. Some interesting news coming out of the NFC East. And let's get it cranking. Boss Cowboy, how you feeling?
We had that music straight cranking. Yeah, man. So, yeah, it is a lot to talk about, and it's a lot of different opinions. I was actually on the late night hype yesterday, and we actually had a real good back and forth on some of the topics we go discuss today. So I'm excited about just covering what we're covering. I know we're not trying to be like anybody. We're just going to give you our unadulterated opinion and give it to you. Huh.
There it is. Give it
And
to you
beautiful
straight.
news, OC.
Mm-hmm.
So for all the YouTube people, now YouTube is able to be embedded into the show. So everybody winning now. Everybody across the platforms, and we're gonna have more platforms coming because we obviously growing all the platforms. We're a new show, but we don't take a backseat to anyone. So, but hey, get in there, chat, talk, so we can put you in the show. Let's go.
That's right.
So yeah, but yeah, man. What I guess we can get right into it. I guess we can. I guess start with Harold Nash. You want to go with that first, OC?
Yeah, Harold Nash, former strength and conditioning coach for the Patriots, okay? Championship organization, brand new hires to strength and conditioning coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, I'm not mad at this. Actually, I like this. Yeah, I at least like the ideology. I like the aspect of consistency and training people in such a way that they're super tough to play about 20 games, which is what the Patriots have become accustomed to playing over this last decade or so. And they haven't had many major injuries with the Patriots. I mean, these guys have been tough. These guys have been very, very durable, and these guys have really done an overall good job. Hey, listen, not mad at this one at all. What do you think, Boss Cowboy?
I'm actually not excited about it.
Okay.
I'm not excited about it. Now, because I'm in the dark, and I'm starting to favor the entrepreneurial guys. So, listen, I want everybody to really hear me out. Coach, perfect timing. Coach D on. Perfect timing. Coach D, we had Coach D on the show, and I was just literally finna say something that he said on the show. Coach Dennis, listen, y'all. He was on the show. We've been on strength and conditioning as all off season. He said something that stuck with me on the entrepreneurship, man. He said, and it wasn't any shade at professional teams when he said this, but he was speaking facts. He said, OC, these guys pay out of their pockets for my services because they likely not, in their minds, getting what they're supposed to get in-house.
Yeah, that's a powerful point, boss.
That's powerful. That stuck with me, man. That whole interview, that level of common sense was like, what?
Yeah.
And that's an excellent point. If because think about it, just to Coach D's point, you already trying to accumulate in a short career as much money as possible, because we all know the average lifespan of an NFL player is only 3 years. But yet you're coming out of your pocket to pay the Coach D's, the Ronnie Braxtons, the Blue. When you can go get the services from your own $1 million facilities, you can literally go right to your strength and conditioning coach and say, I need extra work, and they would do it. But no, they go outside. So that's why I'm not as hype on the hire, because it can go good or it can go bad. It can go good. Yeah.
Here's the deal. If he's able to implement some of the philosophies that the New England Patriots had in terms of their strength and conditioning, overall, their key players remain healthy. We can even go back to the Teddy Bruschi's. We can go back to the Matt Lights. We can go back, even to Tom Brady before he brought on his own strength and conditioning guy that began to travel with the Patriots while he was there, and he went vegan, not eating meat or anything like that. I mean, overall, they had a solid track record. And I'll go back to say the year that Randy Moss was there, okay? And Randy Moss actually commented on the strength and conditioning. He said, yeah, it's very, very regimented. We get up and it's no skipping your lifts. You have to get your lifts in every week. That stuck with me. So the amount of discipline that they had when they made their run, it was obviously attributed to behind the scenes, the consistency of the training staff and making sure. And we know this, Boss Cowboy. I mean, when we got deep in the season, we had a lot of guys. We had mandatory 2 days of lifting. We had a lot of guys, Boss Cowboy, in college skipping those lifts, right? Not getting that work in. But if you have somebody that can enforce the discipline, or I will say in this situation, is allowed to enforce discipline and certain work ethics from the Patriot way, it could be positive.
Yeah, and that's why I said it can go either way. I want to, Coach D and Travis, they spitting fire right now, so we got to address them. They too fire. Coach D, he was on the show. I mean, y'all definitely go catch that show. We have a nice thumbnail where it's go easy to find it. He spit straight fire on this topic. Here's another comment. Mark Cuban has trainers for each one of his guys, pays them a salary, and created a lane that most teams should but won't. Coach D, I would give you a bro hug right now if you was in front of me.
Yeah.
See, because that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm seeing what you're saying, Coach D, and I will want the Cowboys to do something similar. And I mean that. Like, we talked about Ronnie Braxton yesterday, who's another guy that's similar to Coach D. And these entrepreneur strength and conditioning trainers, to me, they're more innovative. They're safer because their entire portfolio is built off word of mouth and reputation. They have to hand back these athletes in almost better condition and can keep their name good. So they take the environment, in my opinion, forces them, OC, to function with better kid gloves than when Coach D, when he was on, he said just kind of throwing them in the gym.
Yeah, I think
and that's the only thing about Harold. Now, Tavis brought up a good point. I'm gonna address it. That's why I said the fire coming from the comments right now. My boy Tavis Banks, what's up, buddy? He said he's known to not have a lot of injuries in Detroit.
Yeah, and Boss Cowboy, that begs to my point that, I mean, when he was there, man, he was a part of that program during the Patriots run. I mean, how many Patriots, right, that were key to the run can you say had devastating injuries in the playoffs and when they needed them? It's not many, boss.
Yeah.
It's not many. So if he was a part of that program and maybe he brings some of that philosophy to the Cowboys, he's allowed to, then I think that for the Cowboys, that is anything that brings more toughness, anything that brings more discipline to the Cowboys, I think is a positive thing. But now to Coach D's point, which is a fantastic point, by the way, and we talked about this a lot when he was on the show with us, is that these things really work best when the training is specialized. And so what Mark Cuban opened up is what every team should have the philosophy for, to get the best out of the individual players and positions, is to be very, very specialized in the approach on how you train these players, which I think is brilliant, fantastic.
Yeah, let me put that comment up again, because Coach D came in there dunking, no mercy, no warm-ups, just tomahawk, just boom. And that's more of my idea. I'm cool with him as the number one, Harold Nash Jr. And I also like your point about New England, because you're right. New England has been first on strength and conditioning, wellness, health, nutrition. They've been first, and they've been into that for years. But when you merge what Coach D just said and bring in the Coach Dennis's, the Ronnie Braxtons, you bring in those guys as consultants, because let's also be honest on this as well. They would likely be better consultants, like you said, or were they assigned a few players individualized, because they honestly, frankly, probably making more money entrepreneurially from not being on staff. So it's almost like, OC, how would you blend that? Because I love Coach Dennis' idea. Let's throw out some ideas. What you think, my brother?
Yeah, I think, man, that how you best deal, if you don't want a person like Ronnie Braxton, or you don't want a person like Coach D to come and totally take over, right, your whole strength and conditioning program, what you do is that you have circuits, right, to where you have a general workout and you have individual specific workouts for each player position, and you bring them in as a consultant where they're evaluating strengths and weaknesses, right, of players, and then they have a tailored workout to improve muscular weaknesses, speed deficiencies, strength deficiencies, right? And then you have your general protocol type workouts that you just do in the end season with your team, just to kind of keep up your general strength and things like that. So I think those guys are best, and they do their best work, even from knowing Ronnie for years, like in the off season, right? Building the bodies, correcting the weaknesses, correcting the things, improving the things that need to really happen in the off season.
Right. So I fully stand with Coach D, man. Bro hug all the way. I would want the Dallas Cowboys to start moving towards that hybrid consultant Mark Cuban model, because when I looked at the resume of Ronnie Braxton, okay, and I want to also get Coach D's. I'm not obviously disrespecting Coach D's work. I just want to get the reference to it. But in 2013, OC, out of 11 professional prospects that Ronnie worked with, all 11 played all 16 games. 2014, 13 out of 13, same thing. 2015, 13 out of 13, same thing. 2016, 16 out of 16, 2017, 18 out of 19. So his practice was growing, obviously from reputation, similar to Coach D. But look at that. That's over 90% health. Yeah. So how can we say, and I'm just being honest, man, out of love for my team, bro. How can we say the best ability is availability, but don't take what Coach D said exponentially seriously? Exponentially. I literally asked Tyler Patman last night on a late night hype, and I just threw out a big question. Let me just go for broke. I said, if you Jerry Jones, how much would you pay the Ronnie Braxton types, and how much would you pay the Coach D types? How much would you pay them to be the consultants or the number twos and the people that really bring solid structure and a solid return on investment to your athletes? You know what he said, OC?
7 figures.
7 figures.
7 figures. And see, now, Boss Cowboy, we get into one of your favorite subjects, I know, which is economics, right?
Yeah.
Because you protect assets, right? And you limit liabilities. So there it is, free financial advice for everybody watching the show. If you want to build up your wealth, your security, you protect assets, you limit liabilities. So what is the best way to protect assets? Well, in terms of football, is to have the body and the structure of that body completely strong, completely pliable, and as healthy as you possibly can have it, right? And think about this. If you had a key player, let's just say, a Tank Lawrence, or your starting quarterback, or your starting left tackle, right, that had issues, right, and they're missing, let's say, an NFC championship game, or they're missing a Super Bowl because it's something off with their training regimen, and you lose that game, how much money did you lose as an organization by not winning that Super Bowl? How much opportunities and marketing opportunities did you lose for the city of Dallas by missing key components that could have helped you win? Think about that.
And I'm listening, man. I'm unapologetically lobbying for Coach D. I'm lobbying for Ronnie Braxton, for Blue. because I think those guys bring exponential value. Because a lot of people, they trying to throw away right now Connor Williams. Well, we know Blue is a strength specialist. That's all Connor need. That's all at this point. He's where you want to be as a pro minus strength.
Yeah.
Coach
yeah,
D is perfect, keeping these guys healthy, a nutrition plan. You know what I mean? A whole universal setup to keep these guys on the field. Then you mix that with Ronnie Braxton, who track record is crazy and already coached a lot of these guys. Like he coached Jordan Lewis, he coached Byron Jones, he coached those guys. So when you, like, to me, I really want this to happen. I want to I'm gonna call it the Mark Cuban model, because if I said the Boss Cowboy model, people not gonna take it serious. My name not
they
good
will
enough.
in a minute. They will in a minute, though.
But Mark Cuban, you know, that's billionaire to billionaire. That's billionaire thinking, going to billionaire Jerry and say, adopt my model, which Coach D talked about. And see, OC, it's just kind of funny. Isn't it funny that this week what we identified as the biggest offseason hires just happened?
Yeah. You know, and again, I mean, this is, you know, a level of friendships and kinships. We already knew that.
Yep.
And then also, you know, by promoting from within, you save some money, right?
Right.
So, and you have more controls if you like the philosophy of your strength and conditioning. Now, that's the thing, Boss Cowboy, that we don't know yet, right? We don't know the Cowboy stance, right, as it relates to, is the strength and conditioning an area of improvement that's needed, such as the defense? Right, as an example. Has it been in-house discussions about how to improve that? I don't know at this point, Boss Cowboy. And so it makes it a little bit ambiguous on our part just to fully break everything down, although we can see just from having experience and playing the game from a bird's eye that, hey, that definitely needs to be improved. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely need to be improved. So I listed the epic track record of Ronnie Braxton, that he goes by Real Truth, on player health. I just want to name the injuries from just last year. Sean Lee, LVE, Tank, Zeke, T. Smith, Zach Martin, injury. Tyler Biotish, Looney, Cam, Knight, Cooper had off-season cleanup. Crawford, Diggs, Uwuze, Liel, Dak, Jalen. That's 18. That's 18.
Yeah,
so
those are like all starters too.
That's that's almost all starters. So I'm you know, we've been on this hard, and yes, you come into this show, a lot of people want to talk X's and O's and drafts and who we might acquire. That's not first, man. I'm just being honest. Like, if I really say I love the team like I do, and I'm being loyal, first things are first. And the first things in this first is more than just hiring this guy. And I trust the Cowboys. They not stupid. Like, they get a bad rap. Like, they're not dumb. Like, we say that too loosely as fans. You not gonna look at 18 starters and not make that a priority. I just would want to see more than Harold Nash. And let me just talk about one more thing on this and we're gonna move on. Because I like the entrepreneurship guys over the career trainers generally, because the career trainers, I think they can plateau. Because you're almost as good as your tree, right? Just like coaching. Like, people that came from the Belichick tree didn't pan out, but people that came from you know, it's many trees we can name out there, but we know what I'm saying. That basically you are, philosophy-wise, a product generally of your tutelage or your discipleship. So if you was discipleshiped into mediocre strength and conditioning and no innovation, you could plateau to the team, and like Coach D said, you can create a gym environment, not a specialized environment. To where, like you said, we specialize in by individual, not by all of y'all go in here and do this same exercise the same way. This guy might need 10 reps. This guy needs to focus on his running motion, like Coach D talked about, to prevent injury, you know? And so from a career standpoint, I do want to see an influx of the entrepreneurs. What's your final thoughts on that?
Yeah, and listen, I cannot disagree with anything you said there. I think that what happens is you want the Steve Jobs model. You want the thought, the innovation, the ability to create and to solve problems, right? You don't want a status quo when you're dealing with human bodies, because you got all types of human bodies and all types of different strengths and weaknesses as it relates to position, right? So when you look at this whole thing, you want to be in a situation where, and we always talk about this, Boss Cowboy, where the best ideal wins, right? That's what you want. You don't want a situation to where we're going to cookie cut ourselves to train in a certain way, even if it's not advantageous to your age, the amount of playing time you have, your weaknesses, your previous histories in terms of injuries and player. So I think that makes complete sense. But now here's the question: do we incorporate it, and how do we quickly incorporate it or encourage teams to incorporate it in terms of being an organization?
Well, OC, I actually sent this idea inside Dallas Cowboys. So, like, when we say your voice matters, we're not just talking. We mean that. And we take action on it. Like, listen, man, I sent it to, I'm not going to say who, but I sent it to the highest up.
Yeah, don't say who.
Yeah, right. I sent it as high as I could send it, because I'm really trying to get this idea in the building. I really am. Like, it's a long shot. I know. But at the same time, you said how. Let's just keep talking about it, and let's just keep our eye on it. Because if he turn it and all these, because Harold he has the biggest job.
Right.
A lot of people not talking about this right now. See, the biggest job is not the D coordinator Quinn. It's not even close. Go look at the list that Harold will be directly responsible for this offseason in terms of getting these guys healthy and on the field. You talking about a $40 million quarterback to start. Then you talking about Jarwin, LVE. Cooper had to clean up surgery. Hold on now. This is not little stuff we talking about. This is big. This is big. And it's, the fan base, we all help on defensive ideas, offensive ideas. We lobby when it's time to fire and hire people. So to answer your question, how? Talk louder. Share. Get this information out there. Don't leave Boss Cowboy and OC, Buddha, Jaquez, Tavis, and Coach D in a room by ourselves making sense.
Right.
Push it.
Right.
Don't say your voice matter and do nothing.
Right.
So anyway.
Absolutely.
So we gonna change gears a little bit, man, but you ready to talk about the second thing? That's like the biggest hire.
Let's get right into it, boss. I know where you're going. Let's get right into it.
All right, let's go. So, Aden Durde. What's your thoughts, man? Aden Durde. I know you've done your research. So
yeah, I think that
I didn't like that stutter. I hated it.
Because I'm trying to
Oh
be
Lord.
more diplomatic. We talked about this, Boss
Nice.
Cowboy. I'm trying to be a little
Okay.
bit more diplomatic. Okay, listen, I don't
Alright.
like to hire. Okay, here it is. I don't like to hire. I don't like it.
Oh.
I don't like it. Okay,
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
like
Talk
it.
to me.
I don't like it because the man was an intern. The man went from being an assistant and related to he was in like a foreign exchange type program that allowed him to get NFL. And then for the Falcons, he was a linebackers coach. He's never coached defensive line. He doesn't have the experience to coach defensive line. He hasn't produced high caliber Pro Bowl defensive linemen. I don't see him earning respect initially. I think that he's going to have a lot of bravado. I think he's going to have a certain degree of aggression. He's going to have to be mentored or either get notes from somebody who's had experience coaching that defensive line. I don't see that him coming in and pushing guys to be all pro. Not his first year, not having experience in him just coaching linebackers coming from the Falcons and how he came up through the ranks. Listen, I hope he does well for the Cowboys' sake, okay? I'm not being a hater here, but I'm saying what my eyeballs see, Boss Cowboy, and what
Yeah.
my
Say what you
eyeballs
see.
see is
what you
just
see.
an opportunity to hire somebody that we like and to give a guy a chance. And
A
if I'm
guy
the
a
Dallas
chance.
Cowboys and I'm going for six, I'm getting 6 rings here. I don't want to give a guy a chance. I want to hire somebody who can come in here and get 15 sacks out of Tank. I want to hire somebody
Thank
that can
you.
get Alden Smith back to his glory days when he was
Oh.
with the San Francisco 49ers. I want to hire somebody that can get Tristan Hill to 2-gap and get upfield and create havoc in that backfield. That's who I want to hire.
See, that's
I
my
don't
boy
wanna hire a
OC.
guy that
That's
has
my boy.
one-
That's him. I know you. The raw OC, bro, because I feel exactly the same. Listen, man. Pastor Douglas said it the best. We bringing in a bunch of guys with plenty of question marks. No for sure guys. Just call. If we had to call in, you would have to call in on that one, Pastor.
And Pastor, we're creating a call in. Okay, by the way, that's
Yeah,
another
we created
feature we'll
it.
be adding soon.
Because you would have to call in on that one. Because you
get
hit
to
that.
call in and talk.
Like,
Yeah.
listen, man. Like, listen, I was on the late night hype last night. And I got jumped a little bit. I'm going to tell the truth. They jumped me a little bit. Because I was talking about identity, right? And it got confused with the term hot balls. But what I was saying was, to your point, you bringing in a guy with no experience coaching defensive linemen. This give me a chance stuff is setting it up to where them guys likely gonna coach themselves. I'm gonna ask you a question, bro. Just be all the way honest with me. Have you ever had to coach yourself?
You know what? The last time I really had to coach myself, and sorry for all the people that I'm going to offend when I say this in advance, okay? So you don't got to text me, call me, DM me, or nothing like that. All right? So when I was in high school, I had a coach, man, who had not a clue. Okay? And I knew that I wanted to get a scholarship. So I was sitting there at an early age when I was 14, 15 years old, and I would just watch tape of myself. So this is a personal story, okay? My mother told me, she sat me down and she said, son, she paid for me sacrificially, love my mom, to go to a private school because she didn't want me to go to the local high school that I was zoned to because of all the drugs, crime, pregnancy, all that kind of stuff. So she wanted me to get a better high school education. So my mom, who's a social worker, she sacrificed and paid for me to go to this private school, and I had a scholarship there, and I had a coach there, man, who just used to say, just come off the ball and hit him. And so I had the chance coming up to work out with some pro guys, like during the summer, some
And
NFL
they got your
players.
technique.
Yeah, they helped me with technique, and then he wouldn't say anything to me but good job or bad job. And I was watching tape because my mom told me when I was 15 years old. She said, son, listen, you have to do very, very well because your mom can't afford to pay for your college, so you're going to have to take care of your business and do very, very well. And so I was really, really hung up on how well I played. and he didn't give me any direction. The coach I had in high school, I mean, very little, and I don't know if that was intentionally, or I didn't know if it was just because of lack of skill and knowledge. But yeah, man, it was a horrible situation because you feel like you're on an island, and you feel like if you don't fix yourself, then you have no hope. So it's tough.
It's tough. And I've been in situations where I had to coach myself. Like, people don't believe this happens. This happens. This happened to me on Division 1 and high school, where basically I had to also go learn. I didn't even know how to come out my break properly until I was a junior. I was all athlete, no technique. So it was NFL coaches when I would go to camps that would say, Marcus, you break like this, break on this foot and go on that foot. It's going to put you a step ahead. It's not going to be a dead step, what they call it, which will give that receiver separation. Read his hips. Don't get caught up looking up, because if you look up, his shoulder pass will shake you. His hips is going to tell you where he's going. Like, all the small details I learned I had to go learn outside. And even when I was in Division 1, I didn't start learning the real proper technique of corner, like eyes and progressions and stemming and all the things that really go into playing a position well, 3-step and showing a fake zone look and a man look and how to disguise all this. I didn't learn that to a junior. On a high level of play, we already played Alabama. It was too late. We already played LSU. And I was out there on my own, OC.
UCLA.
UCLA. We going straight to Cali. Yeah. And you Rose Bowl. And you on your own. You played, man, I ain't gonna get into our history, but somebody, please, that want to give me this off-season optimism Kool-Aid, explain to me, please. Explain to me, please. How can a first-time defensive line coach teach seasoned technique? I don't see it. Just being honest. So some of the ideas I heard was actually Quinn was going to coach them. So this is the problem I have with it. This has not been a Debbie Downer. Our defensive run stoppage was last, right?
Yeah.
Is that a place to gamble with? Let's raise up a guy. Even if you assigning Quinn into that room. See, I think it's a lot of la ideas. OC, can you please explain how this position coach stuff work?
Yeah, I mean, the position coach is basically you have the defensive coordinator, okay, who will be considered your CEO, okay? You got your VP who could be an assistant defensive coordinator, or many times in today's NFL, he's your pass game coordinator or somebody like that. He's like a 180, you are a 1B, right? And then beneath that, you have your individual coaches, such as your defensive back coach, such as your linebackers coach, and such as your defensive line coach, right? Now, we know Dan Quinn to be a defensive line coach. So I said several shows ago that, hey, listen, I would have extreme confidence if Dan Quinn was only focused on the defensive line. But the issue is that he has responsibility of the whole defense. So I'm not sure how this marriage will work, right? Because you have Witt, you have him, and I guess Witt and him come together with a strategy, and maybe he spends extra room grooming and mentoring the young defensive line coach who is his first year coaching defensive line, and he helps them get along that way. But I don't see how you can do that and effectively manage all the responsibilities that you have schematically and film breakdown wise, being the overseeing director of the company, so to speak, being the CEO of the defense, being the defensive coordinator. I don't see how that's going to work, Boss Cowboy. So I'm a little bit befuddled. Okay, I'm befuddled at how the relationship and how the dynamic will work to get the best out of that defensive line.
Man, Pastor said send him the link. I'm about to send you a link. You keep up. You keep on doing what you're doing. Listen to what he said. Sounds like a whole lot of experimenting. is on the way in hopes of trying to get some sort of stability. That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I always call off season the time of illogical optimism. And I think we seeing some of it. Like at this point, we should, in a healthy way, question the organization. Like, just ask questions. Not that we're calling them stupid, because they're obviously not. They're great football guys. They're good. Like, I would never insult Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and that whole family who put the whole family into football. Jerry Jones put his whole life savings into football. So I'm not the one that's buying that they're not football guys. But as a loyal fan, we also can ask them questions.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
this is, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, boss.
This is one that just, this has the smell of receiver by committee. This has the smell of Thompson as the starting safety. This has the smell of when Kellen Moore was the quarterback's coach. That didn't make sense. It didn't. You saw much better development. Let me just bring up one more guy to give you an idea of what we're talking about. You remember him?
Jim Washburn. Yeah, that's a heck of a football coach right there.
Boy.
Heck of a football coach.
Love him. Love him.
Coach. Man,
Can you talk about it real quick?
Man, Jim Washburn was a guy that coached our defensive line when I was in college, and he would come out with dry dip around his lips, and he would bring out huge hula hoops, and he would make his defensive ends run hula hoops. Why is he doing that? He's teaching them how to bend and turn.
Teaching.
And
Hold on. Slow down. You see, you preach good, my brother. He was what?
He was teaching. He was teaching them. I mean, every time we would have one-on-one pass rush, okay? And I just remember him yelling and cussing at everybody because when they didn't win on one-on-one pass rush against us, the offensive line, and I played offensive line, he was furious.
I loved him.
He was furious, and he always was great at. I mean, I remember I learned a little bit how to play defensive line just about watching him coach. He was just teaching hand placement and steps and bending and all types of stuff, and he pushed those guys. He had our defensive line, some of them in fear of their lives, man. Like, they had to play well. It was a lot of pressure, and he got the best out of those guys, man. He's a great coach, tough guy, old school coach, great guy, good teacher of the game, and had a lot of success coaching with the Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
And he's moved on now, but he produced some Pro Bowlers there.
If I could get him on the show, man.
Yeah, we'll try to get him on. I'll reach out to him. We'll try to get him
please do.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him.
Because we not, like, this is not bragging, but experience with coaching and different coaches, like the OC went against him. I was the cornerbacks coach, and I loved him from a distance. I loved him. And the key thing that the OC said is he had a lot of ways of teaching. That's key, man. Like that can, when you put somebody new in a prime, we was last there, and you put him, how will he teach the guys? What will be his drills? Is he farming based on only one tree, the Atlanta tree, right? Or do you have this wide, vast wealth of teaching? So that's where I want to be wrong on this one. But I don't see putting a guy with a rookie, basically a rookie coach, and he was over quality control before he was the linebackers coach, and he was an intern.
He was an intern.
He was an intern. So I just don't understand. It's almost like Dak, right? When we wanted to fix Dak, we went and got Kintner. We was like, let's go get a guy who's a teacher. He was a teaching in Waxahachie. He was a teacher in Texas. He specialized and was certified in being a teacher. That's what you're dealing with a coach, not just we're going to tell you what your fits are and you supposed to on this stunt hit this gap. No, what drills are going to build in the skill sets you want to see. I remember those hula hoops. He was teaching them how to bend. The first time I saw it was with him. Then I started seeing it with the draft. But he was first back in 2001. That's 2000. The advantage of a experienced defensive line teacher, man. So,
yeah, Boss Cowboy, I think that we're not addressing a full elephant in the room right here. And I think the full elephant in the room is, do you have enough experience and can you command the respect of the men that you're going to have to coach? Right. That's the underlying question. Not only do you have the knowledge, right? Which if you've never coached defensive line before, it's kind of hard to say that you kind of got the knowledge for something you never done before. That's really, really tough to say, right? Let's just be real here, right? But then do you have the decorum? Right, because Jim Washburn, using him as an example, he commanded the respect of everyone. Like he didn't care who you were. He had no fear of who you were. You were all conference guy, a second team All-American guy.
Loved him.
He didn't care. He would
no favorites.
He didn't care who you were. He demanded performance. And then this is the second question. All that we need to spend a few minutes on is, here's the deal. You got a bunch of young interior linemen,
right?
And then you seem to have some veteran edge rushers, right? With obviously Tank Lawrence, and then you got Gregory, and then you got Alden Smith, right? Those are all straight now. But think about this. Here's another question. Do you have enough talent interior-wise to overcome not having a great teacher? Are the Cowboys talented enough, right, to overcome not having a great teaching and developmental type of coach?
Man, there's two comics I want to tackle with you, OC. My boy Tavis, he addressed something. He said, we tried that last year and look what happened. So he was talking about the experienced veteran coach. This is, and Tavis, my boy, draft head. He got his own page that's fire. Dallas Cowboys on the clock. Drafting, and we go definitely talk football real soon on this show, me and my boy Tavis. So I said the disclaimer because I'm something hitching your nose. I think Tom Sula was put in a bad situation. Just being honest. You was dealing with like the OC said perfectly, is when you the defensive coordinator, it's almost like you the president and these people got to run your scheme. Okay, so when you have Tank dropping, Alden Smith dropping, do y'all remember when Woods dropped and Aikman was on television and was like, Aikman was like, they dropping Woods. Because the D coordinator, in my opinion, Tavis, was messing up the effectiveness of the D-line coach just being all the way honest. Like when I was watching the Atlanta game, I was going crazy, man. Just being honest. I love you, Tavis. I was going crazy when Matt Ryan was driving and Tank was dropping. I said, what? No. No. His assets is not. He's not an asset dropping into zone. His asset is going to get him at the end of his drop, the quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's almost, I don't think I'm gonna give a good example. It's OC. This happened, bro. Like just on an example of how you can be submitted to a bad D coordinator and they'll get you killed. So Coach Henderson was my coach. Excellent coach, excellent schemer. I learned the game from him.
Coach at Baltimore after.
Oh yeah, he coached in the league a lot of years, and he coached the Buffalo Bills. So no, he legit league guy. So he came in, and we in the cornerback and safety room, right? So you know we getting ready for practice, and he come in. He said, "Guys." He also had dip. He said, "I didn't sleep," and we like, "What?" He said, "Guys, I did not sleep." To my coach, why you not sleeping? Like we tripping. Like he said, we gonna lose this game. He said, let me show y'all something. He drew up a trap, right? And he showed us, you know, X's and O's how we was out leveraged. He said, once they figure that play out, we gonna lose the game. He said, and I stayed up all night fighting Coach. I'm not gonna name names. The defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And guess what? We lost on that trap. They ran it over and over. Cincinnati game. You remember the Cincinnati game where they came back on us? Yeah. They came back on that trap. So that's going back to Tavis' point. Is you can be Tom Sula and be awesome, but if your chessboard by your D coordinator is bad, it's gonna reflect on you.
Yeah, and it's a layered response to Tavis's point. You got to remember Tom Lula at his best when he was coaching Alden Smith when Alden Smith was younger. They're coaching a 4-3 defense in San Francisco, not a 3-4. Right. Completely different personnel. Right? Not trying to manipulate 4-3 personnel into 3-4 personnel, which never works, right? Never ever works, right? You had a bunch of lions rearing to jump out of the cage, right? When he was coaching for the 49ers. These guys were rushing upfield, rushing the quarterback, defensive tackles playing 1 and 2 gap techniques, rushing up the field, trying to beat people one-on-one, guards and centers, creating havoc, and linebackers behind them running east, west, north, and south, making a bunch of plays. Okay? This is what you had in San Francisco, right? In San Francisco's heyday. That is not what you have the Dallas Cowboys, nor does the Dallas Cowboys have the personnel that the 49ers had when Tom Sula was at his very best. So you got to kind of give a little bit of concessions there. Completely different scenarios.
OC. Just so basically the two biggest off-season identifiers, I can't bless this. I can't bless it. And I think Buddha had the quote of the day. They say billionaires don't like to spend money. True. But they also don't gamble. I think we are gambling. I think these are major gambles. Now, on a good note, what we actually debating is good versus best, right? Let's also be honest on a positive note. This is good versus best. So at least we are not going to have our guys in that hybrid 3-4. That should make them easier to transition back to what they were with Rod and Chris Rashad, Rod Marinelli. So, but I can't act like these are home run hires. I do feel much better about Harold Nash because Tavis raised an excellent point on look at his track record on injuries. That follows strength and conditioning coaches. OC raised another excellent point that his background on his coaching tree is from New England for years, which are the innovators of health, nutrition, strength and conditioning. So, and I want to also say on these two topics real quick, I know for a fact that sometimes, because Harold was fired January 6th in Detroit, 2020. But that don't mean he was bad. That don't mean he was bad. Like, I had Coach Swayze as my strength and conditioning coach, who was also, as you know, OC, the strength and conditioning coach for the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. That's the greatest team of all time. That's probably the fastest team of all time, with Durde Jones, Andre Johnson, Moss. They was all 60-meter champs, champions, indoor champions. The trainer was Coach Swayze. We got him at the University of Houston. He only trained the defense. I didn't even know that till last year, OC. All of our times dropped. I went from a 4-4 to a 4-6, back down to a 4-4. Emil ran a 4-4. Will ran a 4-5-1. JP, basically all our corners went to the super speed. Everyone, safeties too. And we fired him with documentation of his work. So I feel pretty good about Harold because his background. I'm leaning that he's going to likely go and take us off this injury crap. I would want to add the entrepreneurs to put the innovation in the room and the Mark Cuban model. I don't feel good about our defensive line coach. That's my summary.
Yeah. Well, on a positive note, like we said before, I'm not sure how the marriage is going to work, but if Dan Quinn has his hand in that room, and to me, it just makes complete sense that he would have to, okay? He would just have to, right?
Yeah,
if he spent time, he would spend time developing those guys, coaching up those guys, and helping the first-year defensive line coach, then, hey, it could turn out okay. It could turn out okay, but it's just, I don't know how he manages the time and the responsibility of splitting defensive line coach and defensive coordinator and how that works. Now, he could do it, not saying that he can't, but if his hand is in that room, they're going to be okay, right? And remember, right, they're not trying to be a top 10 defense, right?
Yeah, they're just trying to get back.
They're trying to get back to average.
Yeah.
Trying to get back to average.
Right. Yeah. And this is, all of the moves are average. And I'm going to say one more thing, too. This is a great, man, just go ahead and call Rod and say I'm sorry. I'm serious, man. For real. We slept on the value of Rod, man. Let's be honest, bro. Let's admit it.
Hey, listen, you know what? It's that 80-20 rule, right? Nothing, nobody, or no situation is 100% of what you want it to be all the time. But if you can get at least 80% out of anything or someone, you're doing pretty good. So yeah. Rob Marinelli was that good, consistent girlfriend that was nice and you could depend on and that was hardworking. And then you got a new girlfriend that you thought was prettier, but she had no character. She didn't clean up, and she just caused you all types of grief. And so that's what happened.
We got a great Facebook comment. My boy Tyrone Church. What's up, my brother, man? Feeding the YouTube channel. He said, I heard Dan Quinn and George are good teaching coaches. Yeah, me too. I heard that too. And all of my research says the same. So, like, listen, when you hear the OC and I debate, we're literally debating good versus great. This is not, we trash. We're not saying that. We're saying, I'm not co-signing these moves, but is it an improvement overall because we're simplifying and going back to a 4-3? But we also not gonna lie to you and pom-pom these as home run hires when really they're wait and see. It can go epically well. It can fall off a cliff. It can be average. The good thing is average is an improvement.
Yeah.
But my goal is not just playoffs, bro. Like, I don't want playoffs. Like, playoffs, that was our goal. Listen, that was our goal in 2020. Let's just make the playoffs. I don't want to quit. Man, I never heard Cowboy fans sound so pathetic. just pathetic. That is not who we are, man. We don't talk about, hey, what's the path to just get in the playoffs? No, that's never our goal. It's either 6, 7, or tank it.
Well,
But no, that was a good
Cowboy.
comment, Tyrone. Real good comment. Keeping that Facebook
Cowboy.
fired up. I mean,
If
you too.
if you have not an upgrade in the offseason or somewhere in the draft in that interior defensive front where you actually can keep guards and centers off of your linebackers, then you're gonna have to go back to what my son did when we played this year in 8U. Okay, this is 8-year-old football. We didn't have a good interior line, and so people were running up the middle on us, kind of like the Cowboys this year, right? And so we had this call where we would blitz the linebackers through the A gaps, right? So if you don't improve in this 4-3, it's gonna be a lot of stunts and blitzes, because that's how you go stop that inside run, man. You got to improve there.
And listen, Tyrone Church, I gotta get on you, man. My boy Tyrone, brother, I love you. He said, defense goal top 16. Oh man, you right, but I hate it.
No, Tyrone is absolutely right.
Right.
Man.
He
Right.
right.
He's right.
Oh man, I mean, I'm a defensive guy, so we don't think like that. You know what I mean? Like defense, we gotta talk top 10 for pride's sake, man. I mean,
But
that
think
just
about
be
this.
though. I mean, I'm a defensive guy. I just don't like the, and then I don't like 16 as a goal, even though he's right. He telling the truth. He not lying. He gave me some bubble gum. You know, I always say loyalty is telling your friend when they need gum. He giving me gum right now. He like, calm down, boss. Your breath stink. Take some gum. Calm down. Relax. Now you're ready. It just,
Well, think about this, Boss Cowboy.
it's not good enough for a Super Bowl.
Well, let's just be honest. I mean, well, let me not go down that rabbit hole, but let me just say this. All right. What is top 10 about the Dallas Cowboys defense today? Is anything top 10? So the answer to that is no. Okay. So then how can you realistically expect this to become a top 10 defense? Realistically,
It's
you can't.
possible.
Realistically, you can't, based upon pattern and principle. Now,
True.
we
Pattern.
mentioned going and getting some killer defensive tackles. We even mentioned the last show the possibility of getting a defensive end who, if he's cut, would be a just instant upgrade, right? We talked about doing some things. We
Say it
talked about this-
again. Say it again. Say it again.
we talked about if the Denver Broncos cut Von Miller because he'll be $18 million against the cap this coming year because he's underneath some type of criminal investigation. And to me, by all looks, it looks like Denver is in at least a semi rebuilding type phase. If they cut their losses with Von Miller, why not sign Von Miller to a short-term contract with the Cowboys? He's from Dallas. He's a local boy. Let him come in and instantly bolster this pass rush and go and get us 15 sacks when he's healthy. And voila, that solves a lot of problems on the back end, Boss Cowboy. And you know this, if you don't got to cover a long time, Boss Cowboy, you can be a whole lot more aggressive. And if you know that quarterback only got 3 seconds to get the ball out, or you only got to cover a handful of receivers and you're in cover 2, well, because they leaving extra people in because they're scared of your defensive ends, that also helps you in the secondary. So there you go. That's an easy way to fix the secondary without going and paying a whole bunch of money for people or spending draft picks if you didn't want to. Just get a superstar pass rusher that can put tremendous pressure on the quarterback. How about that?
Hey man, listen. When you first had that idea, my honest thought was no. And it was because of the need in the interior. You know, still I would rather us get a Tomlinson, but it's growing on me. It's growing on me though. Like the idea is greatly growing on me, OC. This is
What do the
OC's
fans
baby
think?
too, and it's similar to what happened with DeMarcus Ware.
Right.
You know, DeMarcus Ware went over to Denver injured. Remember, we ran him out. Jerry said later that was a mistake. Remember that? And he been looking for a war daddy until he found Tank, cause that one hurt.
But here's the
I
deal,
can
Boss
see,
Cowboy.
I can see that. I can see the reverse happening to your point, to where, you know, they got those young defensive ends over there. They up and coming. He's aging. He's coming off injury, and he want to come home to Dallas, DeSoto, Texas. Put that across from Tank. Oh my God! And I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Oh, hold on real quick. Hold on. I ain't gonna say this breaking, but this caught my attention. Hey, listen, YouTube is getting all the comments right now. Everybody that's on YouTube, they showing up first. The Facebook, it's too many of y'all. So it's the Facebook. My boy Jamal said, just heard from BJG. That's Big Game James. Plug Jerry is jumping into contract talks with Dak.
Yeah,
Good.
of course they should be jumping into contract
It should
talks
be
with
done.
Dak. Should already be done. You need to get this thing done before March if you're smart. But, you know, I mean, Jerry Jones said that he has leverage, and the fact of the matter is he does. I mean, you go do one or two things in this situation. And I said this several times now. You go pay this man almost $40 million cash with no obligations of him ever signing with you again after this season, or you go come to some type of long-term contract. Which do you prefer, Mr. Jones? He's a smart businessman. He's brilliant. I mean, what do you think he's going to do? Of course, it makes sense for him to sign him, and I hope he does soon. I really do.
Hey man, listen, we flexible on this show. That breaks this up perfectly. Cause I do understand, and the OC and I have really spent some time on this. Okay, I do understand the point of view of Stephen Jones. I really do, because we have to look at the history of Stephen Jones and why. Like, listen, everybody know that I wanted Dak paid, but we wouldn't be being fair if we didn't also look at the other side of why they were so tough on Dak, especially on the duration of the contract. I broke this down so that we can see it from Steven's point of view. Let's be honest. If you look at all these contracts, what all of them have in common is they're all over their counterparts that they were either equal to or better than. Meaning this, Steven is building the Cowboys by making everybody be team friendly. Everybody. And that's how we keep our talent. So I don't want people to look at Steven like, because I know what he's trying to do. Now, do I agree with it? No. But I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to make Dak the ultimate example. Like, if I can get him even a little bit team friendly, my next guys that's coming up, it's going to make them be team friendly. He's trying to enforce an environment that's how we stay competitive. Now, he was also, in my opinion, over aggressive, because when you look at him and what he did with Dak, yes, I get it. I fully understand you being tough on the 5 years, because everybody does it. You did it to everybody. What I don't understand is not surpassing the total guarantee with that 5th year. So I'm just envisioning they got to come to the middle. You got to give Dak more guarantee, and Dak got to say, hey, look, this is how it is to be a Cowboy. Everybody take the long-term deals. Like Zeke, his counterpart was a 4-year. Cooper, his counterpart was a 4-year. No tackle signed an 8-year but Tyron. Nobody. So, it's gonna take some bend on both levels, and since Big Game James said that they're in talks, that's what I want them to be talking about. OC, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I just think that Dak has to win somewhere in order for you to get what you want as an organization, which is smart. It's a great strategy by the Joneses, right?
Great.
To extend people out a year beyond the average, right? And to
Yeah.
spread out that money over the cap, right? It
Yeah.
gives you a lot of flexibility and make sure they're not over the cap. They
Yeah.
have flexibility to make moves. So as an organization strategically, it's
good.
fantastic. Yeah. However, as it relates to signing Dak Prescott,
It's
you're
bad.
gonna have to give a concession somewhere. Okay.
Somewhere.
So yeah, the concession is gonna have to be in total guarantees, in average per, or in the years. Now, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say that the Cowboys don't want to give a concession in terms of years, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to have to give him a higher guarantee
Guarantee.
amount. I mean,
Mhm.
that's what they're going to have to do, which is going to push up his per year average, and it has to be in the neighborhood of, and beyond, I would say slightly beyond would be great, of a Deshaun Watson.
Right. You got to. You have to.
Because
it's
what you
just what it
don't
is.
want to do, is let more of these quarterbacks get signed, and that number continues to go up and up and up. And as a Cowboys fan, I don't want to see that because it pigeonholes you and it allows you, and it's forcing you now. If you want to sign Dak, if you let more quarterbacks get signed, it's forcing you to have to pay Dak too much.
Too much. That's it.
And it
It's just too
limits
much.
your ability to make the team better
Yeah.
in other places where it really needs it.
Right. The comments are, Tyrone, he just stealing all of YouTube comments. He said, agree, but quarterback you don't play with. Man, Tyrone, listen, it's two people I need to call right now and get them on the show because, they making too much sense, right? Because I always said that too. Like, quarterback is like paying your light bill, but then forsaking your mortgage. You can have lights, and them lights will be on when they evict you too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, your lights will be on, but you don't have the house that you paid the lights for. I agree. So it's one of those things to where we try to be balanced on this show. It's not about like beating up Steven and Jerry because they have a very clear point of view that's been working. And let's also be honest, you got to give them credit. There is no way you get all of this talent on one team and over time without the Joneses being tough. Now, it's nasty, it's ugly, it's a contact sport. Yes, they do stuff I wish they didn't do, like use the public for leverage. But when you add up the effect of it, I see why they do it. Okay. So, yeah, but I agree with you, Mr. Church. You don't play with quarterback. And I think we really fell in the hole playing that game. But, it's just funny that we went to quarterback like that. But as you can see, we always ready to talk about that. Because to another point, to your point, OC, this.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal. Look at the total guarantee money that you have for Deshaun Watson, right? And the last public offer, which was last year, didn't exceed that, right? But here's the deal. The guarantee money of Deshaun Watson was greater and the duration was shorter.
Right.
So you're going to have to significantly surpass the guarantee money of a Deshaun Watson if you want that fifth year. You're going to have to do it. So it's going to make the total number of the contract larger, or it could be comparable if you want it to be. But that total guarantee number, it has to be significantly better if you want him to commit to that fifth year. It has to be a win for Dak's camp.
It got to. It have to. And then Dak really does have leverage, real leverage. The fact that Baker Mayfield, see, a lot of people go get this one wrong. When you look at all the quarterbacks that's up to be paid, don't look and compare Baker to the best. Compare Baker to the previous Browns quarterbacks. And then you will understand how likely they're going to overpay him.
That's true. I mean, listen, he was their first round pick, right?
Yeah, first
Baker
overall.
Mayfield, right? Yeah, so he's the first overall pick. So listen, they love Baker Mayfield. They're invested. He hasn't disappointed. He's had a little bit of up and down stuff, right? As all young quarterback does. But overall, in terms of his leadership, right? In terms of his philosophy and his attitude coming from Oklahoma, he's really lifted that organization. He really has, and he's become a face in Cleveland. I'm from Ohio. They love him in Cleveland. I got family up in Cleveland. They love him in Cleveland. He has every endorsement deal known to man in Cleveland, right? There's no way they're letting go of him. But here's something else that we need to mention. With the playoff win and how well the Bills have played at the end of this, Josh Allen, he's supposed to get paid. And so if you let that happen, along with Baker Mayfield, you pushing the number up into a stratosphere that the Cowboys, I don't think they want to have to deal with.
He has
So
real
pay the
leverage.
man now. Yeah, pay him now, and then let's
Damn
get this
now.
thing over.
Get it over with. Like literally get it over with. And they bought. I love Cowboy fans. Man, he's so smart. Like they asking questions like, "Has the cap come out yet?" Like smart questions. My boy William asked that. But my boy Jamal said Jerry would cut a check for a Super Bowl. Steven wants to buy a Super Bowl with a Groupon. Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Hey, it worked. It
Yeah.
worked. I
Yeah.
turned off the music. Listen, y'all. It worked. It works. I'm telling you, it works. Like, he was over aggressive with Dak. He was. He was way over aggressive.
Well, what he did was, Boss Cowboy. Is
Yeah,
he
but I
thought-
want to add a but. Go ahead. You was for the but. Go ahead. You
No,
was
no,
for-
no. Here's the but on why he was over aggressive. Then I want you to finish your comment.
Yeah.
He thought Dak Prescott was to come and be the nice, pliable, usable guy that he had always been, and he found out that Dak didn't want to bow down no more. That
Yeah,
Dak
Dak
won't go
tough.
bow down on this negotiation. Oh, Dak ain't soft.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
Dak tough.
Now we got a problem.
Yeah, we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem. And now the leverage is with Dak. It's like Baker Mayfield is gonna get paid. He gonna get paid. And everybody gonna say, what? He set the market? Yes. Baker. Lamar, he gonna have to fight.
Because
just
of how
the
he
nature.
played this last playoff game.
Yeah. And then the nature of his game makes you kind of say, do I want to pay a guy that one of his better assets is his legs? Do we want to put millions on that? You know?
Yeah,
So they go haggle over that, and they go haggle over his potential upside, right? And that's fair. Allen go get paid.
Crazy paid. Crazy
All right.
paid. He's the best Buffalo Bills quarterback since Jim Kelly.
He go get paid.
He's getting paid.
Yeah, and they might get paid fast.
Yes, in a hurry.
So, and people that's asking questions on the cap, it makes sense for Jerry and them to get it done even without knowing the exact cap amount, because regardless it's gonna come out less expensive than a tag. A contract is your best protection against a bad cap. So they don't have any excuses not to get it done. They have all the leverage in front of them, meaning the three quarterbacks that's waiting to get paid, bro, that's gonna push up Dak market, and Dak does still have the leverage to say, no, you gonna have to pay me like Allen, like Baker, like Watson, like Lamar. Yes, I'm
You
in
know
that.
it'll be, you know it'll be super unique and crafty by Dak's camp if they intentionally waited and didn't sign until at least the next quarterback got signed. Wouldn't that be intentionally crafty on his side to drive up his number? He could do that, boss. He could pull it off. He could do that.
Yeah, I think
You don't want to even think about that.
no,
But
I just feel that the Joneses, when they saw Dak put up and was on pace for 6,600 yards, I mean, that's all-time pace. Say what you want. It was just that you had epic quarterback play with the exact same record-breaking, but on defense being worse all time. You had both happen simultaneously. So you couldn't really see the value of Dak in terms of wins and losses. But when they go in there and negotiate with Dak, they go negotiate with him based on him, not team. And not team wins. They'll say, what did you do? So anyway, it's one more topic, man, that I want to kind of address real quick. It has to do with our enemy. Listen, we talk about our enemy on this show. It's smart. We got to. You got to talk about your enemy because the best way to actually get in the playoffs is to actually have a good understanding of what's happening around your division. So Philadelphia hired Nick Sirianni as head coach. What's your thoughts on that, OC?
I think that they wanted to get an upgrade over Doug Peterson that was more pliable and easier to manage. I think that obviously Doug Peterson had a disagreement in philosophy over moving forward in terms of what quarterback to play. I think that really, if I'm being honest, that Philadelphia Eagles, they want to give Jalen Hurts the nod. Okay, so they're giving Nick this job because he's a young, innovative coordinator. He's turning 40 soon. He did a really good job this year with Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts. Even though they lost a playoff game, they were ranked overall number 12 offensively. He has a coaching background. His family, his dad, his brother, they're all coaches. So I think that this guy's going to come in. He's going to add a degree of ingenuity. He's going to add a degree to develop a Jalen Hurts, right, and to use him as an RPO option because you see in the rise of the RPO quarterback and the athletic quarterback in today's NFL, and you got to be able to coach it and be creative enough to put schemes together to really put pressure on defenses. And so that's why I think they made this hire. And if he's a McVay type, check the Los Angeles Rams, then he's going to be pretty good. And I think he has at least equal weapons to what McVay had when he got hired as the Rams coach. So offensively speaking only, I think that he's going to come in and do a really good job.
Well, I see what Philly is doing, in my opinion, OC. I think what Philly is doing with this coach, this is all about Carson Wentz. All about it, because he's a quarterback's coach and an OC. And this is also kind of similar to me what Dallas does. My boy Big Game James call it shut up signings. I call this also a business trying to create that win-win, where you're hiring a guy that's also tied to a guy where Carson Wentz was at an MVP level. So you get, which was Frank. When Frank was the OC in 2017, who was the head coach of the Colts, that's when Carson Wentz was playing at his best. So this Nick move, in my opinion, is saying we're committed to Carson. We're going to help him. We believe we can fix him, and we believe Doug was the problem. That's what I see happening with this hire. And it is a win-win. His resume's solid. His resume's solid, bro. Like, you're not supposed to look at the grass, your neighbor's grass, but hey, man, your neighbor got yard of the month. So
you don't think that any part of this is them prepping to perhaps get Jalen Hurts ready to replace Wentz? I think the undertone of it is, yeah, they're going to give Carson Wentz a chance, but he's going to do what we think he's going to do. He's going to not play well in some spots and cause the Eagles to lose some games this coming year. And then in comes again the second saga of Jalen Hurts is my prediction. And if Jalen Hurts can manage to just play well for 5 or 6 games, then the Eagles will have an issue, and they're going to have to get rid of Carson Wentz. That's what I see happening, Boss Cowboy. Go ahead, Bumquisha. I'm ready for you. Oh, here she come. Here she come. Here she come. I don't care what you think.
Bumquisha. She don't agree.
I don't care what you say. Turn around, Bumquisha.
She don't agree. OC, she don't. She don't. Okay. I mean, you can't.
Let's ride it out. We got to ride this one out. We got to ride this one out, Boss Cowboy. Because I think that, even if they did do it for Carson Wentz, I don't think that he's going to come back and play well enough, man. I think that he's going to drop that ball, literally and figuratively. And I think Jalen Hurts is going to get another shot.
My boy's getting my back. OC, you don't want me to hit that button because you're going to take an L on this one.
Hey, man, every dog
Listen,
has
my boy William Key said Eagles hired him because they think he can save Wentz.
Okay. Listen, that may very well be
so.
True. That may very well be true. That may very well be true. I
see, because I think you thinking logical, and I think that's what trips you sometimes. Every now and then,
that's my problem.
you thinking logical. I think you got to add politics into your analysis, and I think it'll kind of lead you to me closer to where we are. See, on logic, you right. I mean, Jalen Hurts should, man. He already came in balling with no offseason with his receivers, so the upside was clearly him. I agree. Common sense would say bring in this guy for Hurts. No. I see it's too much is time to PR, Frank, and this is typical Wentz moves. They go out their way to help Wentz. I don't care what nobody say. They gave him Dillard in the first round. They gave him Sanders in the second round. They gave him JJ in the second round. All offensive weapons, man.
What did he do?
They gave him the number one free agent receiver at the time, Jeffries. They load him up almost every year. They go mess around and get Pitts. Mark my words.
What did he do with them, though, Boss Cowboy?
Oh, no, I agree. But that wasn't the case. The case is the politics and the way on high levels they bet on him and they trying to be right. They got rid of a coach that got them their first Super Bowl with a backup.
They cut him.
And 3 years in a row, you had to fight to get in, and he got him in. You got rid of him?
Yeah.
No, it's politics. Yeah. I'm smelling politics in this one, and I'm happy. Go, Philly.
Cowboys,
go.
Right?
Yes.
And listen, Boss Cowboy, you're right on everything you said. On the politics, man, I can't fight you on that. Let me pivot and say I think that's what they should do, okay? But listen, you made a real strong case. Hey, I'm going to back out on that one. I think that Carson...
Hold on, man. I cut you out. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, listen, I can't argue with you on the politics part of that. I think that actually you brought up some really powerful points. I will say that Jalen Hurts is what they should do, right? Should. Because you haven't seen Carson Wentz be productive with the amount of talent they put around him. They cut Nick Foles, the Super Bowl MVP, right? I mean, hey, come on. But obviously, they've invested so much into Carson Wentz, and financially, it doesn't make sense to cut him because they still go owe the man $50-something million. So, in terms of politics, double down, do everything in your power to help him play at least at a decent level. But hey, I just hope he doesn't play well against the Cowboys. Other than that, he can do his thing. But against Cowboys,
I love it.
Well.
I love it. It's see my boy Geechee. Shout out to Geech. Geechee Cowboy Jaquez McHale. He said senior. I'm gonna have to add senior, man. That's he got a junior. Give him his respect.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent point, Geech. I know that locker room torn in Philly. Hold on, I got to give my boy a hand clap on that. I got to. Where the button? There it is. Evil laugh, Boss Cowboy. Evil laugh. Yeah.
But what about with Nick Foles? What wasn't the locker room torn when Nick Foles was balling out of control?
Yes.
And because a lot and they had questions about Carson Wentz, right? And then in that offseason, they cut Nick Foles and kept Carson Wentz. So this is like the same scenario, but except they're not cutting the second QB, they're cutting the head coach based on philosophy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. This dumb politics. Yes. Yes. Yes, Philly. Yes. Quarterback controversy. The only bad thing is likely they're going to also continue to overcompensate, and they're not going to do what's best in attack defense. They're going to go back into this draft and attack offense. They're going to do that. And I've said this. If I was the GM at Philly, my first pick would be Pitts. Hands down. Not with like fast. Like you know how the music say doom doo 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 doom doom ding doom. That draft music. It wouldn't even, if it was me, it wouldn't even get to the second note. It would be Pitts is in. The pick is in. Because it just makes sense. Ertz is already chirping about trying to get out, right? He likely go get out of there. You also know your quarterback is at his best. If you trying to correct Wentz, you got to give him a weapon that he's great at. Wentz actually becomes good when he targets tight ends.
Tight end. Yep.
That's when he becomes good. He becomes garbage, boo-boo trash when he's targeting outside guys. That's why I predicted. I said he was going to have an all-time bad year. I said it before it happened. I said they put pressure on him with the perimeter weapons, and if you watch his game, he is not accurate downfield, and he's not accurate on 15-yard, 10 yards. He's a good intermediate passer. Once he get past a certain range, he goes to boo-boo trash. He doesn't have touch like they claim he does. He doesn't. Dak has touch. You know what I mean? Like touch.
Great point. Great point.
You know what I mean? So you would have to, I'm telling you, like it's a lot of Cowboy fans, they lobbying for Pitts. I think that man going to Philly. And I would do it. Like how do you not? You just got rid of Doug. You better make sure you right. The best way to do that is go after this 6'6" freak. So while we celebrating, what's going to be our counter if we, you know what I mean? Because I see that happen.
The counter is to go hit Wentz. You know, you China doll. You
Gotcha.
hit him, he crumbles.
Good job.
Go hit him. That's the counter.
OC.
Hit him. Put
OC.
pressure on the quarterback.
OC. That's my boy. That's my
what you
boy. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, it's really no counter for Pitts. It's just that we got to go with our strength and just attack them at our best.
But listen, even though Pitts is a freak, you know we got an athletic guy on that defense that's athletic and fast enough to cover underneath, and that's Jalen Smith. He's athletic and fast enough to stay with a fast, athletic tight end. And so, from a matchup perspective, that gives us a chance. I'm not saying that's 100% fair. No, I think that gives us a chance, Boss Cowboy. I think it gives us a chance.
Pitts is smoking my boy Jalen, bro.
Down the seam, but on underneath routes, he
On
can stay
everything.
with him. If it's a sprint down the
on
seam.
vertical, yes, because Jalen's fast.
Yeah,
Good
change
game
the
speed.
direction.
I don't see it in Jalen. I see very, very bad athleticism, and I see Pitt killing him. not just
Boss Cowboy.
killing. Your best matchup on Pitt is actually gonna be safety. You gotta have somebody that can at least contest it from underneath.
But he's so
him.
tall, he's 6'6".
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's why I say contest it underneath. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then with Philly vertically, he's not gonna be as much of a threat. He's gonna be, to me, your safety matching up with him is gonna be your best bet. A Byron Jones would have been ideal right now. For real.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
Somebody that can jump out the gym, long arms, because it's really not your height, it's your arms, because that's what makes the play on the ball. You know what I mean? So that's what I just foresee, man. We'll see on that one, but this could be bad for Philly or it could be good. I think it's going to come down to, will it work, this whole entitlement thing that they're doing to save him? And if it split that locker room, great.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. We got a whole long off season, right? People tend to forget once they get away from the environment and they get with their friends and their family and they get the break. And so I'm not really worried about that affecting them in terms of the locker room being torn, because we got so much time in between this season and next season. And I think that ultimately you hit Carson Wentz, you stop that run, you put him in obvious passing situations, you put the pressure on Carson Wentz, and then I think he will fold up like a lawn chair. That's what I think personally. And so there you go, man. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. I actually think Wentz is still dangerous if you use him right. I think I said this the whole whole season. I say Wentz will go back to being good if you just dink and dunk with him. Like, stop making dink and dunk a bad thing. Like, it's not bad. It works. It works. If this is where your quarterback is at his best, play that game. But I want Philly to stay like they are. I want them to stay in ego. That's what I want. You know what I mean? I want them to make these egotistical, prideful decisions like, let's try to air it out. Perfect. If you try to air it out with Carson Wentz, yeah. You got rid of a good coach, Doug. And I'm going to tell you, Doug a good coach. I don't care what nobody say. Doug a good coach, brother. He a good coach. Like, to even bench Wentz for Hurts, I ain't gonna lie, that was sending the right message. You know what I mean? That was the right message. That's the message that I want Dallas to send, that I don't think we do enough.
But it cost him his job. He stood up, he did the right thing, and it cost him his
And
job.
it cost him his job.
So we talk about politics, right, on
True.
this show. And we talk about factoring in politics.
Yep.
Was it the right thing to do? Yeah, it was the right thing to do, because at the time Carson Wentz wasn't playing very well. Was it the right thing for him to do to extend his tenure with the Eagles? No, it wasn't, because the management had a vested interest in a particular player, and they stuck with that particular player over the coach. And obviously it was some private conversation, in my personal opinion, that, hey, him or me type situation, right? This or that type situation. And in order to make him, based upon your point, Boss Cowboy, to make him what he needs to be, then we have to go a different direction with the head coach.
I think my boy Geechee said it best. I can't wait till we do some more shows, Geech. Sometimes, man, you got to stand on your morals.
Yeah.
And the right thing was it was the right message. See, because we was, interviewing Tyler Patman yesterday. And we was fortunate because Tyler Patman is done with professional football. He's a high school coach now, first year coaching, fresh out the league, moving on. So we called him honest. We called him dead honest. Like, I'm going to just say what it is. And he said it referring to the Cowboys and just football in general and his experiences. It's too many times guys get epic chances because of their contract, not because of their talent. So it's that mess that we paid you, and because we paid you, we got to keep giving you chances. See, to me, that's bad managing of your football team, because that type of philosophy takes too long to say I was wrong.
Yeah, but Boss Cowboy, I mean, You know, our ideals are correct, right? But the application of those ideals will be underneath scrutiny because that's how this world is. And we've known this for years as it relates to the NFL hierarchy, having many friends that played in the league and many friends that have got cut, right, from opportunities to play in the NFL. Here is the hierarchy, right? Just in case you don't know. It's your veterans, right? Your draft picks, and then your free agents. And it's been many a times that, and we know some personally, Boss Cowboy, free agents that have got opportunity to come and camp, and they've outplayed veterans, right? They've outplayed draft picks. But what happened because you had 40 million or 10 million versus 100,000 invested in maybe a free agent, who gets cut? The free agent gets cut. So unfortunately, that's the reality of the world we live in.
And that shouldn't be, because everybody don't run a team like that. Like if you go look at San Fran, they had some undrafted free agents that took out their draft guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they was the best man. When you go look at New Orleans, they'll have undrafted free agents take out their draft guys. So it's like, there are certain teams that run it based on the hierarchy of what you said. But there are Bill Parcells teams. Bill Parcells said this when they start talking about that when he was here, when he was a Dallas Cowboy coach. The media was, hey, is this guy, he just got paid, is he going to get reps? He said, why do you think we had training camp? Why do you think we do all of this stuff? You think we just already anointed these guys? They got to earn it. And I think with us now, we have the signings mandating that you play. Like Anthony Brown, we paid you, so even though you getting smoked again, we gonna keep doing it. We gonna just keep doing it. We gonna roll you out there. You was also injury prone. We gonna still roll you out there. And if we and likely, I think this gonna happen. I think Xavier Woods gonna sign a team friendly deal. Steven run at those. He just, oh, you want to be team friendly? Sure. Yeah. And when he pay you, he play you. It's a trap. It's like trapping yourself. So if you have a philosophy of, listen, we paid you, but you still got to earn it every day. You still got to earn it every game. You still subject to lose it. You make the Dax. See, because Dak, when the pressure's on, he plays great. See what I'm saying? You make an environment that max out your best. So I just don't.
Yeah.
I think the Philly way and the Dallas Cowboy current way, Doug was right. What my boy Geechee said, he was right. He stood on it, and you could see that they was behind Jalen Hurts, man. You could see that the team was rallying behind him. They was rallying behind Foles. Foles always play hot for whatever reason for Philly. It's like Philly was just kind of like whatever reason. And they said, we going with the guy that we paid. Good. I want them to stay in that dysfunction, but I want Dallas to change that dysfunction. Oh, man, Pastor be killing it. This the last one. Listen to Pastor on this one. He killed this one. Loyalty, the silent killer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, you know, here's the whole deal. Everybody has a different philosophy with how they run their organization, and obviously the Cowboys have their own philosophy, right? And you know, whether that's right or wrong, right, is subject to opinion. But the proof is in the pudding, and wisdom is always justified by their children. So at the end of the day, what do you produce, right? And that's what you got to look at, man, as you evaluate this thing. And hopefully with Mike McCarthy and some of these changes that we just talked about over the show, that it turns to a way of a winning culture, and it turns of a way of producing the best of the best, man. And that's what we got right now. So that's what we got to hope for, Boss Cowboy.
Yeah. And to Douglas's point, you know, podcast Big Time Show. I said that in my book last year on the Boss Cowboy Offseason Guide. Y'all get ready for the new one. I said this about the Joneses. The loyalty is their best trait, but loyalty is also their worst trait. And I said this in the book. I put that in writing in ink. What makes them great also makes them bad. So, and Jerry said it about 4 weeks ago that he admitted to making decisions that was based on his feelings towards a player and getting too close to him. We all can say Witten, and he was a little bit too vocal on Romo and the hope in Romo coming back as Dak was ascending. Those are our loyalty mistakes, to Pastor Douglas's point. And so as fans, we can actually stand back on the outside with no feelings and just be candid. Because I do understand the temptation of wanting to be loyal to people that was loyal to you. If the Joneses could do a better job of distancing themselves from their players, I think they would make better business decisions. You know, I just do. Yeah. It was all those trips, because he took a lot of trips. They took family trips with Witten and Romo wearing all white. And they good people. Like, when I looked at Stephen Jones' wife, boo-hoo, crying real tears when Dak broke his ankle, that wasn't business. Her heart was in, they like Dak the person. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when I saw those tears, you know what I said, OC? He go sign. They go get him. Because that told me Steven is sleeping with somebody that's pro Dak. You know what I mean? As a person that helps Dak. Mm-hmm. When Steven is in a hard place trying to figure out what to do in his hard negotiations, I'm trying to hold the line. He's talking that over with his wife that you could see, to your point, is loyal to that. So when he's trying to be business, his biggest influencer is going to be, you got to bend. And that's why I think he's going to get paid. I think he's going to get paid more so because of the dichotomy of loyalty that internally fights the Joneses. And I think at this point they starting to come around. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, but I'm leaning on they're going to get it done.
It looks like a Boss Cowboy, and let's hope it gets done before that cost gets inflated any more than it already is.
Yeah, you got to get it done. So, I mean, we definitely thank you guys for hanging out with us, man. We usually go on Wednesdays. We went on Thursday this time because I did the late night hype yesterday with Tyler Patman and Big Game James, Law, and Will Steele. I mean, we rocked that show. I think it was great. It was good insight. Definitely also go to my page because I really want to lobby for the entrepreneur trainers. I really believe in that idea. That is something that I'm working hard on. The OC is working hard on. Obviously, we've done a lot of research. We've brought you, I believe, some of the best in the business with Earl Spence Trainer, Coach D, Tyler Patman featuring Ronnie Braxton. And Ronnie Braxton is a very private person. Like, me and the OC know him. He still ain't coming on the show. It's just
for years.
He's
for
private.
Years.
For years. He's always been that way. Like,
right.
I'm very happy for his success. And he was like a little brother to the OC and I. He was the younger guy coming in when we was the vets at the University of Houston. So to even see Ronnie Braxton and his epic success entrepreneurially with all his guys is something to see. But at the same time, with him being so private, we really fighting to get him on this show, y'all. Because I promise you, I mean this, if we able to get him on this show, y'all gonna all want him to be in the building. Again, in a 5-year period, he had only one player out of like 80 players not finish the season. So we go stay on this campaign and we actually need y'all help. we need you to share. We need you to subscribe. We need you to hit that bell. Like, actually, everything you seeing right now, please do it. Do everything you seeing, because we went live on YouTube and we saw a lot of people didn't do this because they didn't get the notifications. Because you know our Facebook is popping. Like, you know, I have no complaints about our Facebook. It's steadily growing. We on our fastest pace of growth ever on Facebook. It's amazingly growing. At this pace, we go have over 10,000 in less than a year. Okay. But we need to get the word out on the stuff we talk about on this show. And it's going to only happen from people like y'all supporting us. So, OC, you want to kind of tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me on Instagram. Follow me, CB the OC. I'm at CB the OC on Instagram. Still got to work out some kinks with Boss Cowboy on the Facebook page. We'll get there with you guys soon, and you know, we'll make sure that, man, it'll be loaded with content. It'll be all BCS. So you know, we want the same, you know, hand in the glove type situation. So we want you to get the best out of all of us, and follow Boss Cowboy Sports on YouTube, follow Boss Cowboy Sports on Instagram, follow Boss Cowboy Sports on Facebook. All right. And so we go keep things going, and thank you guys for your support. It's much appreciated.
And go take another look at the Boss Cowboy YouTube. It's fully upgraded, thumbnails updated. Everything about it is first class and professional now. So we doing that all one by one. And also, we appreciate everybody that's been putting the cash out. Y'all been doing it too. I really appreciate that because it helps us a lot, you know, cover the expenses of the show. Obviously, a quality graphical show is not free, right? We spend on this stuff. So, you know, you can't do that without, you know, the investment. So we definitely appreciate that. Also, Boss Cowboy, definitely go over there, hit the like, hit the follow, so you can get the notifications. We also getting ready to upgrade our activity on Twitter a lot. So make sure you take that handle and you follow it, because you're going to see more and more on Twitter. We're going to get very aggressive about Twitter. So, and also Instagram. We already had a Boss Cowboy Sports over there, but it's getting ready to also go to another level on that as well. Because we know that we spend a lot of time on real solutions, not crying, not complaining, but actually trying to solve the problems, you know. But we want a voice that's going to only come from fan engagement that put those ideas out there. So that's obviously our pitch to continue to join us. Pretty soon, we're going to have the Patreon pop in and other ways to support us on a monthly basis, which might be better for you to partner with us and become an insider that way. And obviously, it's going to be value features that's built in for the insiders. It's going to be things that's going to only be geared to our Patreon supporters. So that's up and coming. But if anybody been watching us for any amount of time, you should know that sometimes we take long, but when we come out right. That's just how we are. So we don't rush, but when we come out, we go get it right. But we thank you for definitely supporting us. Pastor said, you got my support. William Kill said, great show. Geechee, he showing love. Buddha always showing love. Jamal Sims, Siobhan Wilson. So yeah. And we thank y'all because y'all didn't know we was coming on today. We just lunched. So yeah, y'all stay with us. We got a lot of growth coming, and y'all gonna be the key to it. We also got other things that's coming I'm not gonna mention. I'm gonna keep that under wraps. But love y'all, and y'all stay with us.
Boss Cowboy Sports, where your voice matters. Boss Cowboy Sports.